Hi folks, thanks for stopping in to check out today's video. One thing I noticed shortly after I got these and ran them a little bit is that they seem to have more resistance in the driveline than you would expect. So I took one of them apart, I took the monster truck apart, tried to figure out what was going on. I think I found a way to free up the driveline a fair amount. I'd like to get it a little more free, but it's definitely an improvement, and I haven't done anything with the buggy yet, so I'm hoping to just show you how I did it with the buggy and get the same results with that. So just to show you what I'm talking about, this is the monster truck that I've already freed up. I took the pinion gear out of this just so we don't get the drag from the motor, but when you just roll it on the table, the wheels spin a little bit because it's been freed up. Whereas with the buggy, I haven't done anything with, when you roll that, the wheels immediately stop. And it's just driveline drag. So let me open it up here and I'll show you what I did to free that up. One thing to note, if you haven't seen the Dromida vehicles at all, they're all basically the same. The chassis driveline is the same. To get the different styles, they're basically just changing out tires, the bodies, maybe the bumpers, and that's about it. Otherwise, all the Dromida vehicles are exactly the same. Okay, so we need to get to the differentials, which is going to require taking a fair number of things apart. We'll just fast forward through this. Okay, so now we can get a clear look at the driveline. We got the rear differential, beveled gear, pinion gear here, beveled gear, front differential. Where I think the problem is that a lot of this drag comes in is two things. Hopefully this will show up on the camera. Pull the differential out. They have these things covered in a fairly thick grease. And that's going to cause some drag, but that's not where all of it is coming from. The other problem here, I believe, is a design flaw. Or at least not an ideal design. Take a look at the way the ball bearing here sits on the differential. You can see these little tabs right here, and the ball bearing slots into those, and it is making contact with those tabs. Well, this bearing also rides in the housing right here, meaning that it's making contact with the differential, which is spinning, and the housing, which is not spinning. And that's where a lot of the drag came from. And the way that I got rid of a lot of that on the monster truck is I got an X-Acto knife and I cut these little tabs right off, put it back together. A lot of the drag went away. Not all of it, but it was a big improvement. Okay, so here we are. I'm partway through trimming those tabs off. I've trimmed them off the rear differential and I've not trimmed them off the front differential. I also put just some bearing lube on the ball bearings to loosen those up just a little bit over the grease that they come with. And just at this point you can already see this is spinning, you know, pretty freely. Whereas the front differential, which I haven't touched yet, it just stops, just immediately. You just spin, it stops, and that drag is, you know, slowing the vehicle down, and that's what we're going to correct. So I'll cut the tabs off this and get her put back together, and we'll see if we get the same amount of freedom that I got on the monster truck. Okay, so now I got the front one done. Hopefully you can see that I've just taken those tabs right off of there with a razor blade on both sides, and now they don't rub on the bearings. The bearing does still rub just a little bit on the side of the differential. It's not ideal, but I don't really know what I can do about that. There's not enough play, you know, in the housing to put some kind of shim in there, because then you just pinch the bearings against the outside wall of the housing. So I think this is kind of the best we can do without significantly greater effort. Putting it back together, you want to make sure that the ring gear on the front and back are on opposite sides of the car, or else you're going to end up with the front wheels going backwards and the back wheels going forwards, or maybe the opposite. Let me get the whole car back together and we'll see how much of a difference it made. Okay, so here's the vehicle all back together. When I do the roll test like I did before, I'm now getting at least a little bit of wheel spin from the momentum of the wheels, whereas before I was getting none at all. It's not quite as much as the monster truck, probably just the rotational mass, the inertia of the wheels on the buggy are less than on the monster truck, so they just don't have as much energy to keep that going. But I think we've freed up the transmission in this vehicle a lot. So all you really need to do this is a razor blade. You need your hex wrench to take the shocks off, and you know, like a screwdriver, standard screwdriver, and pliers. I used, you know, Leatherman, but any pliers will do. And you can really free up the drivetrain, help out the performance of your Dromida, any type, buggy, truck, short course truck, considerably. Especially if you've done any driving in like some dirt, some sand, and you get a little bit of that sand in there on those bearings rubbing against the plastic. That's really going to bind it up. Just cleaning it out is going to help. Getting the tabs off of there is going to help. Cleaning out some of that grease, just the excess grease. You can leave some grease on the gears, putting some bearing oil on. It's all going to help. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer it. If you didn't like this video, please hit dislike. If you liked it, go ahead and hit like. Thanks. Bye.